Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling, as you will see what's going on our little island of Fawnhollow today, where we'll be vibing out in Animal Crossing, as per usual. And you might be like, whoa, dear darling, look at the title. You're not doing a Happy Home Paradise customization today? Well, yes, because I am back on my holiday, which is why you had 4 days of Happy Home Paradise yesterday. And I'm not sure why I explained this to you, like... No one is hopping in at day like 900 and whatever we're on right now, like 930. We're not that high up, probably 913, and being like, oh, what's going on? You're either here for the long haul, where you're checking in at least the first 10 minutes of every single episode, and you know what's going on, or you watch Happy in Paradise episodes, and you know what's going on if you're watching this one anyway. So I don't know why I'm explaining this to you, but I don't know. I guess context is always nice. Hello everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 5:09 PM on Saturday, September 24th, 2022. But yeah, I was on holiday. We had 4 days of Happy Home Paradise yesterday. I was considering, like, do I want to do a Happy Home Paradise customization today? I recorded some Steven sausage roll while I sort of thought about it, and I was like, nah, not really. You know, I've already had 4. Like, I just want to chill. I want to relax. I want to talk about stuff. I guess we could talk about my holiday. It was a very nice one. I don't know, normally I'm a little bit cagey about saying stuff like personal information, because I'm just like, I don't want to give personal information on here, like, you know, you got to be careful on the internet and that sort of thing. Not that I'm like, someone's going to like dox me or like hack me on my accounts or anything like that, but it's just like, you know, it's on a need to know basis. Is that really the right phrase? I'm not sure if that's the right phrasing to use, but like, you know, a lot of times it's not very necessary. But you might as well talk about it, because it gives a nice sort of like starting point to talk about things. Is I went to Venice with my family. It was very lovely. It's actually the second time I've been to Venice, and you might be like, whoa, you went to Venice twice? Well, the first time I went was actually with my secondary school friends. Straight after, like, we finished our A-levels, so basically we graduated high school that sort of time. We went on a big summer holiday. There was like 9 of us, maybe 10 of us. I can't quite recall off the top. We all went around, like, not backpacking around Europe, but kind of backpacking around Europe. We went to a load of different countries. Oh, and it was, honestly, it was mostly organised by this one person. Like, this one person in our friend group, who, if you met him now, you'd be like, what? He did all that? Not in a, like, a bad way, but he's like, nowadays he's so, like, laissez-faire, but, like, back then he was, like, in, you know, the very, very structurally organised, I suppose, about something. He basically, like, booked all the hotels, he booked all our transport, that sort of thing. It was actually very nice of him. Then itinerary stuff, I'm not going to say I did all the itinerary stuff, because I didn't do all the itinerary stuff, but I did do a lot of it. We went to a load of different countries, not that many, actually only like 4 or so, but we went to a load of different cities. We started at Rome, we went to Milan, then we went to Venice, then I think we went to Prague, then Salzburg, then Munich and Berlin. I think that's the order we went in. You know what? I could just like find my Google Photos, and I'll probably be able to find it. And it's what's been dubbed as interrating, because you use like an interrating pass to go around all the things. Oh, these aren't organised. Rome, Florence, Venice, Salzburg, Munich, Prague, Berlin. Okay, so got the order kind of wrong. Yeah, oh, way back in 2016, my word, I was like 6 years ago. It feels like it was so long ago, but 6 years, honestly, in like a grand time scale, it's not actually that long. But yeah, it was basically, we all like finished our A-levels, we're graduating high school, and you know, we're going to go our separate ways. Not actually completely go our separate ways, because I'm still friends with like, how many people on that trip? Like 9 people. I'm still very good friends with, I don't know why I changed into this. 1, 2, 3... I need to like find a picture of everyone in it, because I cannot think off the top of my head who was actually on my trip. But I'm basically good friends with probably like, let's see, one of them. Those 3, definitely. I've had 9 of us. Oh, that's wild. 3 of them I hang out with basically all the time, and another one also in quite I would say I'm still good friends with, but I don't see him nearly as often. And the others are sort of like, meh. A couple of them I don't really talk to anymore, but a couple of them are sort of like rare communications. Not that we're like, I'm not unfriendly with them. I'm not like, we broke up as friends or anything like that. We just like, you know, friendships come and go, and a lot of it's determined by the time and people you know at that time of your life. You know, it's a sort of the natural way that things go. But yes, we went around. I'm not going to talk about my interrailing trip, because I should save it for another time, but I went to Venice on that trip, and it was very different going, because I went with my family this time, I went with my friends last time, and we're all, of course, like, we weren't even university students, we don't have jobs or anything, so we're, of course, trying to be as economical as possible to make sure we don't spend all that much money. But now, you know, we're family, you know, everyone's working, well, not everyone's working, but we're all working, we've got, like, income is not as much of a worry, I suppose, nowadays as it is compared to, you know, when you're not even university students, which often have that sort of like stereotype of frugality. So everything's a lot nicer. We went to like nice restaurants. We actually went on a gondola ride, which is kind of what Venice is known for, going on those gondolas. We didn't actually do that when we were sixth form students. I got to say, it was absolutely my favourite part of Venice. And you might be like, what? Because it's a thing, you know. I often go to things with sort of like a low scepticism, inherent tied to particularly mainstream things on holiday, where I'm just like, I do like to do the mainstream things, but a lot of times, you know, you do the mainstream things, you're like, it's not as amazing as like some other random thing which really holds in my memory. And it's sort of like my thoughts on travel in general is a lot of times I find my favourite memories from the times I travel is more due to the people I travelled with rather than necessarily the activities done. But there have been select things which I've done where I'm just like, the activity itself was phenomenal. It was like incredible. Like there's a lot of things in Japan, like I'm sure tick out box, like going to an onsen was really cool. I'm trying to think what else. Going to Disneyland was really fun. I'm trying to think, those aren't good examples off the top of my head, but I did enjoy them quite a lot. But just like the entire experience, a lot of time was made by the people I was with. But these are one of a few experiences. The other one I can think of off the top of my head is when we went to Cappadocia as a family. We went on these hot air balloon rides, which is what Cappadocia is known for. You wake up super early, it's like 6 a.m. or whatever, you go in before like sun even rise, and you just like hang around in the air in a hot air balloon for a while. It's so lovely. It's probably... It's literally going to be one of those memories I'm going to remember on travel for the rest of my life. Like a lot of things, I take photos all the time when I'm on holiday, even when I'm not on holiday, when my friends have that sort of thing, and you know, my family does as well. But that's probably where I got it from, to be honest. And just constantly like taking videos, which is great because oftentimes you don't remember all the details of every single little thing which happens on a holiday. So you can go through your photo album afterwards and be like, oh yes, I remember that. That was great. Because it's hard to remember things just off the top of your head. When you see something to prompt it, you're just like, yes, I remember that. But yeah, I'm not going to go into too many specifics about, I suppose, my holiday. That's why I'm sort of talking overarching. But yeah, but things I can definitely remember all the time off the top of my head. Cappadocia, hot air balloons. That was phenomenal. That was one of the best experiences I had on travelling. And gondola ride, also great. You might be like, if you're well accustomed to Venice, you might know what I'm talking about, but you'd be like, but there's a lot of major apparently routes you can go down with gondolas, but there's always like the one main one at, I can't remember where it is, but it's one which goes past like all the main stops. So that's like where, if it's your first time in Venice, that's where you're meant to go. But we went on one because it's something my parents certainly like a lot more, is to go down like the lesser known, less touristy routes, more of the local things. Which I'm sort of like, when you travel, most people are like, right? You're like, oh, I want to be like one of the locals. I want to do one of those sort of things. Pretty hard to be like a local though if you're not a local though, because that's like a lot of insider knowledge that you kind of need to know unless you actually know someone on the inside in the first place. So even when you go on like TripAdvisor and these sort of things and being like, oh yeah, this is a super local place or whatever, probably not that local. Or a lot of the times it's not actually that local, it's just sort of local. Which is fair enough because it's pretty hard as a tourist to really sort of, and unless you actually like immigrate there to really get accustomed to knowing what life is like as a local, which I think is fair enough. But you know, I take bits and pieces. I like doing the local things. I like doing the popular touristy things as well, you know. They each have their merits, I certainly say. But yeah, so we went on a route which started at Academia, which is a bridge which you might be very well accustomed to in Venice because it's like the only crossing point between like the main part of Venice and well, it's not the only crossing point between main and south part, but it's like the big one. It's like one of the bigger bridges in Venice. We had a route that started there and basically went down all these nice little quiet side streets, side canals, I suppose, in Venice, and it was just an incredibly pleasant experience, and I can't believe it was half an hour. Like, it was so short. I'd be so happy just to sort of be boated around, I suppose, for like hours or something. But anyway, Venice is obviously quite a different city from, well, most cities, to be honest. There's not many cities which are, that I know of off the top of my head, which are like predominantly built on rivers. Well, not rivers, on like water-based, I suppose. Because most cities, of course, based around land, so transportation is all by land, you know, by roads, by train, by buses, that sort of thing, trams even. There's not many which are built like with water in mind, and a lot of ones which are probably built on the seaside where, you know, it's only like one part of a city is, or like there'll be like a river going through, which is, you know, like London is, you know, like River Thames flows through, but, you know, if you're not actually have a river, you probably not even notice. But I mean, part of that's probably just because London's massive, so you could be like really far north and of London and just be like, oh, you know, I'm what river are you even talking about? I know where it is, you know, I could walk down there in like half an hour or something like that, but, you know, you might, if you live there and you never see, like, you might never even see a river if you never, okay, that's probably never going to happen, but I'll be honest, but still. Venice is basically, the entire thing is basically like a grid network with rivers, sort of mini rivers, I don't really know how you describe it, flowing through the entire thing, and it's crazy because there are literally, okay, I'm not going to say literally, but there are basically no cars in Venice because there are no roads. You can't drive really anywhere in Venice. I'm not an expert in Venice. I don't mean to be like, oh, look at me, you know, I know exactly everything about Venice. Of course, if you're an expert in Venice, you feel free to illuminate stuff about your city in the comments, all that sort of thing, or if you go there far more often. But I'm just going to say from my own experiences, well, if you haven't been to Venice, I can illuminate it for you. But it's a wild experience where there's no roads, there are no cars, especially in America where cars are such a frequent, like the most predominant form of transportation for a consumer, a general civilian. It's probably quite shocking just to be like walking around and be like everyone's walking, or the equivalent of basically of their roads is the canals. Because we talked to like the gondola person, he was just being like, oh yeah, you know, like every family's got like a boat, that's like the equivalent of like a car. That's how you get around places. You had to drive around these canals if you want to like transport a lot of things, if you don't want to walk. And I was like, that makes sense because all the streets tend to be quite narrow. It opens up to like squares here and there, but most of the walkways are just sort of like alleyways, and then you just have like canals sort of weaving out between things, which is an interesting sort of thing because a lot of times you need to go from like one part of the island to another part of, no, it's not an island, one part of the city to another part of the city, but you know, there's like a river running through, so a lot of the through traffic has to be directed to these bridges, which I always thought, I'm not like an urban planner or anything, but I wonder how they sort of solve a problem of there being like far too much foot traffic through that sort of thing, because that screams to me like it would be like a bottleneck, like, especially at the point of academia, because there's like the one sort of like peninsula part of the south of Venice or whatever of the main bit. I don't know how any of it's described, I'm going to be honest, where basically that's the only bridge. I mean, the alternatives, you can take a boat bus, is probably how they helped solve the issue of the traffic and throughput. I have a Discord message. What is this? Oh, you know, no, let me okay, I'll pause and reply to this. Hold on. Okay, message replied. Yeah, but they have a boat bus service, which is basically the equivalent of the bus. You know, it makes sense. If the canals are the rivers and the boats are the cars, then the boat bus is their bus system. It's pretty cool. I mean, I suppose it's kind of cool as a tourist looking at it. I imagine if you live there, you'd just be like, oh, it's kind of ordinary, which is fair enough. And that's kind of how like anything goes when you're a local to that area. But it's pretty cool. But I assume how they alleviate part of the issue is that probably like transport by boat is quite common, so like I think we have like some sort of travel card system, like an Oyster card system that they have in London, for locals to sort of travel back and forth, because there is at one point, I can't remember which line it is, but it basically sort of bounces back across from one side of the river to the other side of the river quite, not frequently, but like every few stops or so, you know, instead of taking a bridge you can take a boat bus. But yeah, it's very interesting seeing sort of a navigation with different, I guess is what we're talking about, with navigation in Venice. It's very interesting seeing how different the navigation is in Venice compared to other cities, because obviously it is just like the structure of that civilization, not civilization, is a bit dramatic, but metropolis is also a bit dramatic, it's just so different. I'd imagine if you went there as someone who lives basically in these big metropolises like New York, or like in like inner city London, other sort of like really big crowded cities, going to Venice might be like, you know, a real sort of culture shock. But I guess it wasn't a total culture shock, you know. Venice does feel quite dense, is what I would say. Like there's not huge amounts of open spaces. Where I live kind of I don't live quite in the countryside, but I live countryside-ish. To a point where I'd say like 70% of the people, not 70%, it's a bit high. I would say, you know, especially if I spoke to anyone who lived in like London, they'd be like, you live in the countryside. If I spoke to someone who lived in like in the North Midlands or something, they'd be like, you live in a city. Well, I don't really live in a city. You'd be like, you live in a town or something. Which I think that's probably like a fair description. Like, I live in a small town. And yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. So it's a bit different. Like, there's a lot of open space where I live. Like, I walked down past residential areas and the streets are, and all the houses are like semi-detached. No, they're detached, sorry, not semi-detached. And that sort of thing. Where people have gardens or what have you. And there's like open fields, or, especially like on my way to like the high street, etc., etc. Like, there is a high street, it's a small high street. In Venice, everything is very densely packed. There's building. The buildings are reasonably tall as well. And I guess it kind of has to be quite densely packed because there's not a lot of land to work with. And I imagine the land, of course, must be crazy expensive in Venice. Anyway, there's something sort of like quite cutely homey about it, walking around Venice, especially at night time, walking around, It's a bit weird to say, like, walking down like these nighttime alleys, because you would have thought, they should be quite horrifying, they'd be quite spooky, like scary, like all these like dark alleys, like everything is a dark alley. You can't think of like a worse nightmare for something to potentially, be dangerous. But it's not. It's quite cute. It's quite homely, I think. Or it's like, if you were to ask someone like what would like a quaint European, a quaint stereotypical European like street look like, maybe that's something that they picture, like cute sort of streets, shops and that sort of thing, like lit up by street lights, restaurants, a slight little buzz of people sort of just like winding down for the night, etc., etc. It's yeah, it's quite nice. It's basically all I can really say. Yeah, I forgot what else I was going to say about that. There's probably more I was going to say about it. There's probably more I was going to say about it, but I really can't remember what's on my head. Yeah, I don't know. It's just cute. It's just quaint. I mean, maybe it's a bit patronising to call it cute. I should be talking to all my villagers, because all my villagers can be like, yo, you haven't spoken to me for ages, even though it's only been like 5 days. But yeah, I don't know. It was just like a nice little fun time, I think. Yeah, I don't know. Transportation. It is very strange to see the different transportation system, I suppose. Okay, yeah. So their priority is not going to be talking about not seeing us. They're going to talk about the bug off until the bug off stops. Yeah. I mean, as usual, sort of me fashion. When I ever have a big event which I can talk about, I'll stretch it out for conversation for like the next, at least like 10 episodes or something, until I finally run out of like talking power with it. Because certainly at this point it gets more and more difficult to start talking about things on end. I've talked about so many topics. I mean, I've talked about 1,000 different topics. It's like I'm gonna run out eventually. Oh yeah, one point, and I discussed this in a previous episode about me like slowly shortening down like amount of length of these Animal Crossing videos. That is going to happen. I think it's going to start happening with these videos. Let's think about it. I'm not going to shorten it down immediately to 20 minutes. I'm going to shorten down to 25 minutes these Animal Crossing videos right now. And then the next Let's Play, the next new Let's Play, which is starting, I think Steven Sausage Roll is going to be the first one to finish. The Let's Play, which is going to be following all that, will take up the new system of having 20-minute long episodes, just because I'm starting to probably find it a little bit difficult to record half-an-hour videos so often. So 20-minute videos, that should hopefully be okay. It's taking up 33% of like the video length. So every time I record 3 videos in new system, new timing, 2 videos in the old timing. So I'm going to experiment with one coming after Steven Sausage Roll. I talked about it before. It's going to probably be Little Nightmares 2, because it's going to be around Halloween season. It's going to be 20-minute videos, and then if that's fine, if people are like fine with that, it's like no big deal, etc., etc., and it works out better for me, then the other videos will also follow suit, 20-minute long. My only hesitations with it, and I stopped talking about Venice, I suppose, but my only hesitations with it tend to be that some games tend to take better to longer episode lengths than others. Like with story games, I think will be fine with 20 minutes. That's not really a big deal. I think the puzzle games, like it feels like the momentum sort of gets halted every single time you stop. So 20 minutes might be a bit iffy on it. Mechanics games can be iffy as well, depending on what's going on. But it's sort of like, I don't know. It kind of depends on the game. We'll just sort of have to see how it goes. But I think 20 minutes feels pretty normal. And the reason I say, just because give you a bit of context, because I don't really have anything else to say about like boat bus, which I guess is what I'll probably title this episode, and I'll talk about a bit more about it afterwards, but I do want to at least bring this up. It's because I have said before I want to try streaming, and there's I don't think it's going to be pretty implausible for me to be able to start streaming and do all the stuff I need to do in my life, and also, you know, record these videos at the same time, and also have free time to do other things. It's basically, that's just too much. So another thing I brought up was the fact that maybe one of the series will be replaced with the video uploads from the streams. So I don't know which series would get the axe. It would probably what would happen is a story games. It will probably be on a rotation. Well, there'll be 2 slots, but free game. There'll be story, puzzle, and mechanics games is what I have right now. And then basically, when one of them finishes, like the story game finishes, it will come in being replaced by the one which is not being currently represented. So it might be on a rotation there. And then those will be uploaded on Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Friday. And then streams, I would probably stream on weekends because that's basically the only time I really have enough time. I could stream on some weekdays in the evening, but I'll start out by streaming probably on Saturday, maybe on Sunday as well. I don't know, probably just Saturday or one of the weekends. A few hours, maybe like 3 hours, I don't know. And then I will upload the video and publish that on the Wednesday slot. That's what I'm planning to do currently. The things that we need to start before I start streaming is I need to actually finish that YouTube avatar, which I still haven't gotten around to finishing. It's been drawn, it's been colored, it just hasn't been shaded. And once it's been shaded, I can start animating and rigging it. It's going to be quite crude. It's not going to be like amazing, that sort of thing, until I start getting better at the software and better at animating, that sort of thing. But when that happens, you know, hopefully it'll be quite good. But, you know, just get one to start with. And yeah, that's basically the only thing the main thing I need to do. I know I can start streaming anyway, but I'd like to start streaming with that sort of VTube avatar at the same time. So I think that's probably what will happen in the future. Is I want to try and find a balance between streaming and recording these videos. It's just that the biggest problem is the fact that Animal Crossing takes up so much time. That's taking up a lot of the video editing time, which is, I brought it up before, some point the Animal Crossing series is going to end, but it's like so like iconic to the channel right now. I don't think I can end it yet, and I'm definitely not going to end it before we hit 1,000 like someone brought up. I'm definitely going to keep going to 1,000 episodes. Yeah, and honestly I would like to continue to keep it going because it is very relaxing. So it is entirely possible that, like, I don't know, if I can start being able to stream more often, sometimes the Animal Crossing episode might be rolled into the stream episode. I don't really know, but there's a lot of things to work out, but that's at least my plan. Animal Crossing, 20 minutes each day, maybe it'll get shortened even further if it's that ends up being more convenient. Probably 3 ongoing series rolling between 4 upload days, with only 2 series active at any current time, basically. Wait, that doesn't make sense. 2 ongoing series at any single time with 3 different genres rotating in and out of them, and 1 day for streaming VODs and another day for streaming itself. That's at least my current plans. I don't know exactly how or when that will pan out and if it will pan out, but just to keep you informed. Anyway, Venetian boat buses, that's kind of cool. I don't really have anything else to say about them, but just kind of cool. But I don't know, canals are just kind of cool to have like as an alternative to roads, but that's just because of new effect, you know, being with tourists and rose tinted glasses for tourists. But yes, anyway, rounding up this episode here. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Any likes, comments, subscription, shares are greatly appreciated. Join my Dear Darling Discord, follow me on Twitter down below. Hope we see each other again, but for now, it's farewell. So until next time, bye bye for now.